The picture of streams over disturbing faces. Your promise is peace. I am the daughter of two Dominican immigrants who came to New York City with nothing and had 4 kids and learning how to live here with a family. I understand that now and I'm grateful for that now, but back then it felt very lonely. I think that started my internal battle with just self-esteem and negative thoughts. I felt like I needed a little bit more love and a little bit more affirmation. It was a really big struggle from even very young. A big thing for me was to turn to things like solitude. I didn't want to be around people. I didn't want to be at school. It was very hard for me to open up because at that point my dad became a pastor in the church. There was a lot of pressure, even as I was struggling to figure out who I was, to be a certain way in front of people. The people at my church were kind and they've seen me grow up and it's felt like family. I still felt like I couldn't open up and really be honest about the struggles that were happening. The pattern and the cycle began of having really hard thoughts towards myself, really big fear of rejection. It was really hard for me to understand how God could love me when I was experiencing all these negative thoughts. And I know what anxiety feels like, but I never knew what pure panic felt like. I remember calling the prayer line that C3 had on every single day and just ask for people to pray for me. The moment that I really encountered God's love was a point where I was just like really low. I was listening to like really heavy stuff, things about like it not mattering whether I'm alive or not. And I remember just being in my room, I just broke down to God and I was just like, God, I just can't take this anymore. I can't take these feelings. I can't take these thoughts. I can't take the thoughts that are just tormenting me. And I just remember weeping and just feeling like God's love and just his sweetness and just his presence around me. The peace was so precious because I haven't experienced it in a really long time at that point. Because of those moments, I treasure God's peace. I treasure God's spirit more than anything else in the world. I needed it to be personal. And I think that's what started like my real relationship with him, my devotion to him. That's when I first realized, okay, God loves me. He doesn't just love me being in church. He doesn't just love me being the pastor's daughter. Because at that point, like, I wasn't doing anything to earn his love. I was just literally saying, like, I just can't do it. I kept reminding myself of when God would come to my rescue and God would help me each time. I can say that I'm definitely growing. A big thing for me was to turn to things like music to help me make sense of everything that was happening around me that didn't make sense. I began to sing in church age of maybe 11 or 12 or so. We often sang a lot of songs in Spanish, corritos, things like that. And when I was young, I didn't really understand what the words meant. I just knew that I loved to sing, and I'm so grateful that I'm able to connect to God in that way. I constantly remind myself when I'm about to lead worship and I'm really scared that there is always that one person. There are people who are battling, who come to church and they battle to be there. But they did, and they received what God wanted them to receive. I feel like I'm just blooming just because I still struggle with the things that I struggle with. I have to hold on and cling on to perseverance. Sometimes I feel like I'm going 3 steps forward and 5 steps back. And there are sometimes where I'm just like, why is God still calling me? Like, I don't understand. And he always tells me, you're my daughter. In you, I'm well pleased.